Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Brittany. I'm a small business owner, and right now we are working on tackling some unexpected credit card debt. So if you're interested in seeing our journey to paying off our credit card debt, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I make updates every single month on our progress, and I have a lot of updates for you guys today. If you are new here, go ahead and get caught up on some details that I'm about to go over. Might be a little bit confusing. Last couple of videos where I talk about debt, going into debt, and then my July payoff will probably be helpful for this video here. But today we're going to be talking about how much we paid off in August, and also talking about new credit card debt that's coming into our life in September. So let's go ahead and get started. So our August debt payoff, just like in July, I'm going to go over where all of the money came from for us to make this payment. So in extra income, we have $1,096.65. Now, this was not just one big transfer of $1,000. Throughout the month, I transfer all of my funds to a Capital One payment sinking fund vault in my SoFi account. And then I make one lump sum payment at the end of the month when my credit card is due. That's what I mean when I'm saying I'm transferring. So for example, we had like $233 that I transferred, $107, $47. So when we got direct deposit and it was extra income, then I went ahead and immediately transferred it to our Capital One sinking fund so that I didn't spend that additional income. Pretty much for my small business, I'm not able to predict down to the dollar how much I'm going to make. Essentially, I have a specific amount that I need to make every single pay period, and anything after that is extra income. So this extra income is from my small business combined with my husband's extra income. I will also say that in the month of August, my mother-in-law came and stayed with us for a little while. So I had to purchase some things for the guest room to make her stay a little bit more comfortable. So that did take away from this extra income line. However, it's 100% worth it. We loved having her here. The kids absolutely love Nana. So it was absolutely not a problem to cash flow certain expenses. So again, extra income is anything extra after all of our bills and expenses are paid, as well as anything that needs to be cash flowed in that pay period that I go ahead and cash flow with that extra income that's coming in. So let's move on to the smaller contributions. So I have a landscaping sinking fund that I contribute to every pay period. I had a little bit extra in that sinking fund. So I'm just putting rollover landscaping. I transferred $21.57 out of my landscaping sinking fund into my Capital One sinking fund. So that was just little extra accumulations, or maybe I over contributed to it. I pay a certain amount every 2 weeks for people to come and do our yard. So this was extra income sitting in that sinking fund that I went ahead and transferred because it's just sitting there. So I went ahead and transferred it for our credit card payment. Then I had interest that accumulated on September 1st. So I always wait to make my credit card payment until after the 1st so that SoFi will give me the highest amount of interest possible. So in my Capital One sinking fund, the interest that hit was $1.90. And then I had interest hit my emergency fund vault, which was $14.26. And then I had rollover / interest in my mortgage vault. That was $5.18. And my mortgage vault is every pay period, I transfer $855 into my mortgage vault, and then I pay my mortgage when it's due. That just keeps it even for our pay periods, having like, instead of trying to come up with all of our mortgage on that pay period right before the mortgage is due, I split it evenly. So this was what was left over in that vault. So I went ahead and transferred that to my Capital One sinking fund. Then August was a 3 paycheck month for my husband. So we had an extra paycheck. And with that extra paycheck, we were able to put aside $868.42 for the credit card. So that doesn't mean that my husband's check was $868. That just means that this is what we were able to pull from that extra check for the credit card payment. So all in all, we were able to pay $2,007.98 in August towards our credit card. And this is where that extra money came from. That brought my balance down to $3,002.30. Interest has not yet hit. This is September 10th. Today is September 10th. Interest has not yet hit. I think the bill was due on the 6th or 7th. I can't quite remember. So interest will accrue on this $3,000, and I'll update the balance in my next video when I'm doing my September payoff. So $3,002 is where we're sitting at now on that Capital One credit card. Now let's go ahead and talk about our new debt, okay? So again, go watch the video where I'm talking about why we're in debt. Just a little bit of a recap. This debt from our credit card is for a new HVAC duct system in our crawl space, and it was about $9,000. That combined with something else that they had to fix in our HVAC. $9,000 was what that cost. Unfortunately, when we bought our house 3 years ago, we found out right away there were a bunch of undisclosed problems in our crawl space. We had 3 inspections done. None of the inspectors brought up the fact that we needed a new HVAC duct system because it was completely shredded in the crawl space, as well as there being mold growth in our crawl space and a bunch of other things, flooding. It was just a huge mess. So essentially, we're taking care of all of that now. What I've been trying to do for the past 3 years is kind of sporadically take care of things and like save up in cash so that I didn't go into debt, and went ahead and took care of one thing at a time. Like we went ahead and got a sump pump installed. That was about $3,000. We did that last year. I saved up for that in cash, paid cash for them to put that sump pump in. And so that helped with the flooding in our crawl space. Unfortunately, when you're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in home renovations that are needed, not like wanting to redo the kitchen, but I'm talking about these are things that are actually needed in order to maintain the structure of our home, I have come to the conclusion that saving up in cash is not always the best option. And sometimes it's okay to use a credit card and leverage your credit card debt in order to take care of these things right away. Let me explain our situation. When I first started my debt-free journey years ago, back in like 2015, 2016, 2017, I was a huge avid Dave Ramsey follower. I listened to Dave Ramsey every single day. I listened to his podcast nonstop on the way to work, on the way home to work, while I was at work. Like I was absolutely obsessed with this idea that there was one way to live, and that is to have no debt. And if you do have debt, work as hard as possible, get a second, third job, fourth job, work 80 hours a week, pay off that debt as fast as possible, build up that emergency fund, all of the things. If you know Dave Ramsey, you already are familiar with his process. And I'm not saying Dave Ramsey doesn't work for people, because it absolutely does. But I'm just saying in our particular situation, there was no possible way for me to save up cash for this amount of work that needed to be done without additional problems occurring because we were putting it off in order to save cash. If you're not familiar with Dave Ramsey, go ahead and just look him up, and you'll quickly see that his methods, though they do work for some people, it can be an extremely toxic mindset. This idea that you absolutely should not ever have to go into debt, ever. No exceptions. Unless you are buying a house, which he has his own opinions about. You can only buy a house if you have an emergency fund, if you have da-da-da-da-da. This really toxic mentality had me believing that I could just make it work. Like, I need to figure out how to make this work without going into any debt, because debt is absolutely unacceptable. Like, I'm a failure if I went into debt. That was my mindset. And again, I'm not trying to bash anyone that follows Dave Ramsey's plan. I just think it's really important to remember that everybody's situation is unique. Their circumstances are different. Everyone's income is different. So it's not black and white like Dave Ramsey says. I've learned that over the years, okay? I no longer follow Dave Ramsey. I no longer believe that his method would work for our family in any way, shape, or form. Because let me tell you guys, I got another estimate for our crawl space. Now, remember I said last year I had the sump pump put in, so that would prevent the flooding. Well, we had extra steps that we needed to take after that, which was getting a full encapsulation of our crawl space to prevent future mold growth, because there was mold growth when we first moved in, and there's no longer mold growth. But if we don't want it to continue, then we need to encapsulate. We need to get a dehumidifier down there. We need to clean all of the wood. We need to make sure that that mold doesn't come back, because if it does, that's the structure of your home. It's underneath your house. If you have mold and fungus growing in your crawl space, that is a huge, huge problem for your house in general. Not to mention the health effects that it could have from possibly like mold getting into the duct system and spreading mold throughout your house. Like, this is a very, very serious thing that we need to take care of. Well, between last year and this year, when I tell you guys, I was shocked when I got the new estimate to finish the encapsulation. Last year, it was about maybe like $5,000 to finish the encapsulation in our crawl space. So that's what I was saving for. Okay, I was doing a lot of savings challenges at the end of the year, and then all throughout this year, I was doing a lot of savings challenges, trying to save up that $5,000 to finish up that work. By waiting, and the economy like going to crap and everything, all the prices skyrocketing, it is now over $9,000 to finish that crawl space work. The price went from $5,000 to $9,000. So I did sign the contract. So on top of this $3,000, we will be accruing an additional $9,000 for the crawl space work. Now, I did apply for a 0 interest credit card, and I went ahead and got approved for that. I got approved at $17,000. So that is the credit card I'm going to use when we finish up our crawl space for $9,000. And then we have 15 months to pay off the $9,000 on the new 0 interest credit card. And I'm just going to be doing the best that I can, you guys. And I'm going to be sharing my journey all the way through every month, giving you updates on how much we're paying off, obstacles that we may come across, all of that I'll be sharing with you. But that's where we're at right now, $9,000 to do the crawl space work. Then on top of that, I haven't yet gotten an estimate for the flooding that occurred in our kitchen. I mean, I could write a book on the issues that have come up since we became homeowners. But anyways, we had a flood in our kitchen, and it was from our dishwasher leaking into our floor. It flooded the entire floor. And essentially, we're going to have to redo our entire kitchen. So I haven't gotten an estimate to that yet. We've been running a dehumidifier for the past month or month and a half, however long we've had it. We've been running it. It's still pulling up water in our kitchen. So I will cross that bridge probably in the next month or so for the water damage and the new flooring, and that will be additional debt that will be added at that time. Join me in early October when I update on my September debt payoff. Now, mind you, I'm also cash flowing other things while paying off this debt. So we are going to be redoing our kids' bedroom. My kids share a room. They're 6 and 9, and I'm going to be buying them desks, new bedding, some lighting, just kind of redoing their room, because I only have a couple years left of my kids being in the same room. And then my daughter, who is the oldest, she's going to want her own space and probably a big girl bedroom. So this is like my last little chance to make a sweet kids room for them. So I am cash flowing that expense. I'm going to vlog it and post it here on YouTube. If you're interested in seeing my kids makeover, my kids bedroom makeover, if you're interested in that, I will be posting that video, and I will be sharing everything I get for them and how much and all of that. Your value is not based on how much savings you have. Your value is not based on how much credit card debt you have. Your value is based off of the way you treat others, the way you treat yourself, the way you live your life every day. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have questions in the comments, and I will be sure to answer those. But otherwise, I'll see you guys when I vlog redoing my kids' room. And then I'll also be back to update on my September debt payoff. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.